Shyness isn't something you're born with, it's something you've picked up over time. It's a behavior, a habit, and like any habit, it can be reshaped. What holds most people back from breaking free isn't their personality or their ability, it's the narrative they've come to believe about themselves. That story you keep repeating, the one that says you're shy, socially awkward, or incapable of connecting, that story can be changed. And this journey is about rewriting that story. If you've ever felt like your quietness is holding you back, if you've ever avoided a social situation, not because you didn't want to be there, but because you were afraid, if you've ever stayed silent in a conversation even though you had something to say, you're not alone. But more importantly, you don't have to stay in that place. Shyness doesn't define you. It's not etched into your DNA. It's a pattern that got repeated enough times that it became familiar. But familiarity isn't the same as truth. And the good news is, what's learned can be unlearned. In the pages ahead, you'll uncover how emotional intelligence and intentional practice can reshape your social experiences. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not, it's about uncovering who you really are underneath the fear. The confident version of you isn't some imaginary figure. That version already exists, it just needs to be unlocked. We look at how to quiet the overthinking mind, how to manage emotions before they manage you, and how to shift from discomfort to confidence in social situations. You'll learn how to read people better, how to talk without fear, and how to make others feel seen and understood, all while building your own confidence along the way. This isn't theory. These are real, practical tools. And they start working the moment you start using them. You are far more capable than you've let yourself believe. If you're ready to stop letting shyness call the shots, then what you're about to read is your invitation to change everything. Let's begin where it all starts, with a habit. Shyness feels permanent, like it's wired into who you are. But it's not. It's just behavior that's been repeated enough times to feel automatic. That moment of hesitation before you speak up, that tendency to overanalyze after every social interaction, that tension you feel when you're in a room full of strangers, those are conditioned responses. You weren't born with them, they were learned. And like anything learned, they can be unlearned. Shyness thrives on avoidance. Every time you dodge a conversation, skip a social event, or stay silent when you wanted to speak, you're reinforcing the idea that staying quiet is safe. Your brain learns, avoiding this feels better than facing it, and so the habit deepens. But the reverse is also true. When you take small steps to engage, even when it feels uncomfortable, you start to rewire that response. Little by little, the fear loses its grip. Think about any habit. Someone who drinks coffee at 8 a.m. every day starts craving it automatically. Someone who takes the same road home eventually drives it without thinking. Shyness functions the same way. It's a script your brain keeps running because it's used to it. But you can change the script. Most people believe confidence is something you're either born with or you're not. That's false. Confidence is a skill. It's built by doing, not by waiting. The mistake many make is thinking they need to feel confident before they take action. But confidence doesn't come first, action does. Speak up first. Try first. Lean in first, and then the confidence follows. To start breaking the cycle of shyness, you have to notice the moments where it shows up. When do you shrink? When do you hold back? Is it during introductions? When small talk starts? When a group gets quiet and all eyes turn to you? These are the patterns you need to see, because once you recognize them, you can begin to shift them. Start with tiny, intentional moves. Maybe it's a few seconds of eye contact. Maybe it's initiating a casual "how's your day going?" with a cashier. These may seem small, but they matter. They interrupt the automatic pattern. Each of these moments is like laying a new brick in the foundation of your confidence. Avoiding discomfort might feel good in the moment, but long-term, it builds walls around your potential. Every time you choose silence over speaking, you reinforce the idea that you're not capable. That's a lie. You are capable, you just haven't trained the muscle yet. Confidence is a result of consistent exposure. The more you show up, the stronger it gets. Think about building physical strength. If you've never worked out, the first few sessions feel awkward. You're sore. You don't know the form. You second-guess yourself. But with time, the body adapts. Muscles grow. Coordination improves. Confidence in the gym follows. Social confidence is no different. It starts clumsy and then becomes second nature. And here's the fastest way to start that transformation. Change the way you talk to yourself. If your internal dialogue constantly tells you that you're shy, awkward, or just not good with people, then that will be your reality. But what if you started telling yourself a different story? What if speaking up wasn't scary, just a skill to practice? What if every conversation was a chance to improve, not a test to pass? That shift in perspective begins to reshape your identity. Challenge yourself with low-stakes experiments. Say hello first. Offer a compliment. Ask someone a simple question. Push yourself to say one thing during a group conversation. These micro-moments are powerful. Each one teaches your brain, I can handle this. And that learning stacks. You don't need to overhaul everything at once. You just need to take one step today that you weren't taking yesterday. Consistency, not intensity, builds real change. Don't chase perfection. Chase progress. What feels uncomfortable today will feel effortless tomorrow. But only if you show up. Shyness is not a flaw. It's not a permanent label. It's just a pattern, and patterns can be rewritten. Let's start writing something new. Emotional intelligence is one of the most underrated skills in personal development. While many people chase knowledge, status, or skills that are outwardly visible, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both your own and others, is what quietly shapes the most successful, balanced, and socially confident lives. It's not about ignoring emotions or pretending they don't matter. It's about learning how to work with them, not against them. Most people react to their emotions without ever pausing to examine them. Frustration leads to snapping. Insecurity leads to avoidance. Stress leads to shutting down. But emotional intelligence changes that pattern. It gives you the power to pause, to reflect, and then to respond with intention, not impulse. Let's make this real. Imagine you're in a social setting, and someone says something that stings. Without emotional intelligence, you might react immediately with anger, defensiveness, or withdrawal. But with emotional awareness, you can take a breath and ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling right now? Why did that comment bother me? Is this about them? Or is it touching something deeper in me? That single pause creates space. And in that space, power lives. The way we handle emotions is often shaped by our past. If you grew up in an environment where emotions were dismissed, minimized, or exploded into conflict, you may have learned to avoid, suppress, or fear your feelings. These childhood patterns become our adult defaults. But they're not permanent. With awareness and effort, they can be rewired. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. Without it, you're at the mercy of your feelings. You'll lash out and not know why. You'll feel anxious without understanding what triggered it. But once you become aware of your emotional patterns, you gain control. Not control in the sense of bottling things up, but control in the sense of being grounded in your response. When you feel something intensely, anger, shame, nervousness, try this. Don't push it away. Pause. Name it. Get curious. Ask yourself where it's coming from. What does it remind you of? What do you need right now? This simple curiosity can dissolve emotional overwhelm and give you clarity. The next step in emotional intelligence is regulation. Awareness lets you see what's happening. Regulation helps you guide what happens next. Say you're feeling nervous before a conversation. Without regulation, you might avoid it altogether. But with it, you can acknowledge the nerves, breathe through them, and still engage. You act not because the fear is gone, but because you've chosen not to be ruled by it. Your emotions are not enemies to defeat. They're signals to interpret. And when you learn how to read those signals, your entire life starts to change. Empathy is another pillar of emotional intelligence. It's what allows you to step out of your own head and into someone else's world, even briefly. Without empathy, conversations feel shallow. Relationships lack depth. Conflicts escalate because people feel unseen. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with everything someone says or absorbing their feelings as your own. It means recognizing that their experience is real to them. It means listening, validating, and showing that you care even if your perspective is different. Social awareness builds on this. It's your ability to read the room, sense unspoken tension, or recognize when someone's energy has shifted. Some people walk into a room and feel the vibe instantly. Others miss all the nonverbal signals. But this is a learnable skill. Start noticing the tone of voice, body language, eye contact, and energy. These subtle cues give you insight into how people are feeling even when their words say otherwise. And when you respond to those cues with care and attentiveness, your connections deepen dramatically. Communication is a vital part of emotional intelligence, too. Many conflicts don't arise from intent. They arise from miscommunication. Learning to express your emotions clearly and calmly can prevent misunderstandings and build stronger bonds. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it, your tone, your timing, your presence. For example, instead of blurting out, "You never listen to me," a more emotionally intelligent version would be, "I feel unheard when I speak, and it's starting to affect how close I feel to you." Same emotion, but delivered with ownership and clarity. Handling criticism is one of the biggest emotional tests. Without emotional intelligence, we take it personally, feel attacked, and get defensive. But if we view criticism through the lens of growth, it becomes fuel, not fire. You don't have to accept every piece of feedback, but you can evaluate it. Ask, is there truth here? Can I use this to improve? That level of detachment, not emotional shutdown, but calm distance, is key to resilience. Conflict resolution thrives on emotional intelligence. Disagreements are natural, but how we respond determines whether they build understanding or break trust. When you stay calm, listen actively, and seek common ground, you move from competition to collaboration. You become the person people trust, the one who brings clarity, not chaos. Motivation is also tied to how well you handle your emotions. People who depend on feeling motivated before taking action rarely follow through. Those with high emotional intelligence understand that motivation is fleeting, but commitment, purpose, and emotional discipline are steady. They act despite fear, boredom, or doubt. They move forward even when they don't feel like it. Stress management is another essential skill. Life doesn't get easier, but you can get stronger. People with high EQ regulate their stress instead of being ruled by it. They use tools like deep breathing, mindfulness, reframing, and healthy boundaries to protect their peace. They know how to let go of what they can't control and focus on what they can. Here's the truth: emotional intelligence isn't about being perfect or emotionless. It's about being present, aware, and intentional. Everyone gets overwhelmed. Everyone has emotional blind spots. But the more you practice, the more you observe, pause, and adjust, the more control you gain over your internal world. And that changes everything. From your relationships to your confidence to your ability to handle whatever life throws your way. Emotional intelligence isn't just a soft skill. It's a superpower. When we talk about confidence, most people picture someone loud, outgoing, and constantly in the spotlight. But real confidence? It's not flashy. It's not boastful. And it's definitely not about dominating a room. True confidence is quiet. It's steady. It comes from knowing who you are, not needing to prove it. Arrogance is often mistaken for confidence, but they couldn't be more different. Arrogance is loud because it's insecure. It demands attention because it fears being overlooked. Confidence, on the other hand, doesn't need applause to feel validated. It's calm. It's controlled. And it speaks loudest through actions, not noise. People who are truly confident don't need to constantly insert themselves into conversations or try to appear important. They're comfortable listening. They let others have the spotlight. Not because they don't have thoughts or opinions, but because they don't feel the need to prove themselves at every turn. Confidence is the ability to sit with silence without discomfort. It's the ability to say, "I don't know," without feeling lesser. It's choosing the path that feels right to you, even when others don't understand it. That's strength. Not the loud kind, but the lasting kind. Here's something most people get wrong. Confidence doesn't come before action. Comes from it. You don't magically feel confident and then speak up. You speak up first, even when it feels shaky, and then confidence starts to grow. Every time you act in spite of fear, you reinforce a new belief. I can do hard things. Confidence is built in those moments, not imagined in your head while waiting to feel ready. Think of it like a staircase. You don't get to the top by waiting. You climb one step at a time. Action builds evidence, and evidence builds belief. Confidence also shows in how you handle criticism. A confident person doesn't get defensive at the first sign of feedback. They pause. They ask, is there truth in this? If there is, they learn. If not, they move on. They don't let every opinion shake them because they know not every opinion matters. They also don't over-explain or justify every decision. Confident people make choices based on alignment with their values, not approval from others. If someone disagrees, that's okay. Confidence knows its worth isn't dependent on agreement. Another powerful indicator of real confidence is emotional stability. People who lack confidence often react impulsively. They lash out when triggered. They crumble under pressure. They chase validation because they're afraid of being overlooked. But confident people stay grounded. They respond, not react. They don't chase energy. They manage it. Let's say you're in a heated conversation. Someone says something disrespectful. An insecure person might lash back instantly or retreat and internalize the insult. A confident person, though, they stay composed. They assess. And they decide what deserves a response and what doesn't. That's the power of internal control. It's not about having no emotion. It's about being the one who chooses what to do with it. Confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about moving forward while fear still lingers. You don't need to eliminate nerves before you act. You just need to trust that you can handle whatever comes. People who seem naturally at ease in social situations didn't get that way by magic. They got that way by showing up over and over, through awkwardness, through rejections, through trial and error. They got comfortable because they earned it. Through experience. Through repetition. Through exposure. Real confidence doesn't demand attention, it commands respect. And it does so without shouting. It's in the eye contact, the posture, the steady voice. It's in how someone walks into a room without needing to be the center but still carries presence. Preparation fuels confidence too. When you're prepared, whether for a conversation, a presentation, or a social situation, you carry yourself differently. Preparation doesn't mean scripting everything. It means familiarizing yourself with the context so that you can be flexible inside it. Confidence is often mistaken as something you either have or don't. But here's the truth, it's something you create. One uncomfortable moment at a time. It's in choosing to speak when you usually wouldn't. It's in choosing to show up when you'd rather hide. It's in failing and still returning. Perfection is not required. In fact, confidence grows faster when you stop chasing perfection altogether. Those who wait to be flawless before they act stay stuck forever. But those who accept imperfection, who take the risk, who learn from the awkward pauses and the shaky first steps, they build something unshakable. And once you start shifting your mindset from, I hope this goes well, to I'll learn something either way, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop shrinking. You stop outsourcing your worth to the reactions of others. Confidence ultimately is about trust. Trusting yourself to figure things out. Trusting yourself to handle discomfort. Trusting yourself to keep going even when you feel off balance. It's not about being the most charismatic person in the room. It's about being the most consistent one. The one who keeps showing up, keeps trying, keeps learning. No matter how many times things get awkward or uncertain. That kind of confidence, it lasts, it grows, and it's available to anyone who's willing to earn it. Overthinking is one of the biggest roadblocks in social situations. It's that mental loop that starts spinning the moment you step into a room or prepare to talk to someone. What if I mess up? What if they judge me? What if I say something stupid? These thoughts don't just distract you. They sabotage you. They rob you of presence, connection, and confidence. The truth is, overthinking isn't helping you avoid mistakes. It's creating tension that makes mistakes more likely. At the heart of overthinking lies one core fear, the fear of being judged. It's the worry that someone will see your flaws, misunderstand your intentions, or label you in a way that feels unfair. But here's what most people don't realize: while you're busy analyzing every word and gesture, everyone else is doing the same about themselves. Most people aren't paying as much attention to you as you fear. They're too busy managing their own worries, insecurities, and self-perception. That realization is liberating. It means the spotlight in your mind isn't real. It's imagined. So how do you break the cycle? Start by recognizing when you're spiraling. Awareness is the first line of defense. When you catch yourself thinking, what if this goes wrong? What if I embarrass myself? Pause. Literally tell yourself, I'm overthinking, and interrupt the pattern. Then bring yourself back to the present. Focus on the person in front of you. Listen not just to respond, but to understand. When your attention is on the other person, there's no space for self-doubt to take over. Being present grounds you. It removes the pressure to perform and replaces it with curiosity and connection. Reframing how you view social situations is another powerful tool. Instead of seeing them as tests to pass, see them as opportunities to connect. That small mental shift turns anxiety into engagement. Conversations don't need to be flawless. They need to be real. If you fumble your words, pause awkwardly, or laugh too loudly, it's okay. That's being human. What people remember isn't your mistake. They remember how you handled it. Did you smile? Laugh it off? Stay composed? That's what makes the impact. Instead of thinking about what could go wrong, start imagining what could go right. What if this conversation turns into a meaningful connection? What if you leave a positive impression? What if it's easier than you thought? Don't expect zero discomfort. Discomfort is natural, especially when you're doing something unfamiliar. But that's not a sign to retreat. It's a sign you're stretching. Put yourself in low-pressure situations to practice. Say a quick hello to a stranger. Start a conversation in an elevator. Ask your coworker a light question. These micro-interactions build momentum. And they teach your brain, I can do this. I'm not in danger. I'm learning. The more you practice, the less novelty there is and the more confidence builds. Another effective technique is breath control. When you find yourself spiraling mentally, your breathing tends to get shallow and fast. This triggers a physiological response that amplifies anxiety. By consciously slowing down your breath, deep inhale, slow exhale, you calm your body and quiet your mind. A deep breath is like a reset button for your nervous system. You can also shift the spotlight. If you're nervous, focus on making the other person feel comfortable. Ask thoughtful questions. Show interest. People love to talk about themselves. And when they feel seen and heard, they associate that positive feeling with you. Making others feel good naturally makes you feel more at ease. And here's something powerful: accept that mistakes will happen and they're okay. You will have awkward moments. You'll say the wrong thing sometimes. But confidence isn't built through perfection. It's built through recovery. The person who can stumble and smile through it will always come across more confident than the person trying to control everything. Social ease is a byproduct of experience, not control. Stop tying your self-worth to every single interaction. One weird moment doesn't define you. One short, dry conversation isn't a failure. It's just part of the learning curve. Over time, you'll gather enough evidence that proves I can handle this. I don't need to overthink this. I'm okay even if things don't go perfectly. Also, give yourself permission to pause. You don't have to rush. You don't need to fill every silence. When there's a pause in a conversation, use it as a chance to breathe, to reflect, to ask a thoughtful follow-up. Silence isn't awkward unless you label it that way. Some of the most meaningful conversations happen when people are brave enough to sit with silence. Let go of the belief that every social interaction needs to be flawless. Let go of the pressure to entertain, impress, or be perfect. Your presence is enough. Your effort is enough. Your intention to connect is enough. And remember this: the moment you stop making it all about you, overthinking loses its grip. Social confidence isn't about rehearsing every line in your head. It's about learning to trust yourself in real time. It's about shifting from internal noise to external connection. So next time you catch your mind spiraling, pause, breathe, recenter. Look the person in the eyes and simply say what's on your mind. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be present. Again and again. That's where connection begins, and that's where overthinking ends. Pressure has a way of showing up when you least want it. It creeps in before a big conversation, during a meeting, or even in a casual moment when someone unexpectedly puts you on the spot. Your heart races, your thoughts scramble, your body tightens. And it feels like the walls are closing in. But pressure doesn't have to break you. It can actually build you if you know how to handle it. The key to staying calm under pressure is realizing one thing: you are in control of your response, no matter how out of control the moment feels. Most people don't believe that. They think composure is something you're either born with or not. But composure, like confidence, is built. First, recognize that pressure is universal. Everyone feels it, from CEOs to artists to students. It's not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that something matters. The difference isn't whether or not pressure shows up. The difference is how you respond when it does. So what do you do when pressure hits? Start with your breath. When you feel that wave of tension coming, the fastest way to calm your body is to take a slow, deep breath. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Do it again. Your breath tells your nervous system, we're okay, we're safe. It brings oxygen to your brain, slows your heart rate, and helps you think clearly. Practicing deep breathing daily, even when you're not under pressure, trains your body to default to calm instead of panic. The second tool: reframe the situation. Most people view pressure as a threat. But what if you saw it as an opportunity? A test of growth? A challenge meant to sharpen you? When you shift your mindset from I'm about to fail. 2. This is how I level up. The fear shrinks and your focus sharpens. High performers in sports, business, the arts don't run from pressure. They lean into it. They know that pressure isn't a sign to retreat. It's a sign to rise. When pressure comes, visualize success. Literally close your eyes and imagine yourself handling the moment smoothly. Picture your posture. Hear the tone of your voice. See the outcome you want. Visualization activates the brain's belief systems. You begin to expect a positive result instead of bracing for a disaster. But there's another trap you have to avoid, the what-if spiral. What if I mess up? What if they laugh? What if I forget what I was going to say? The what-if mindset fuels anxiety and steals your clarity. So instead of getting lost in endless scenarios, bring yourself back to the present moment. All you need to focus on is the next word, the next breath, the next step. That's it. Confidence under pressure isn't about knowing everything. It's about trusting yourself to figure it out one moment at a time. Here's a powerful truth: you don't need to react instantly. When people are under pressure, they often feel like they have to speak quickly, respond fast, or decide immediately. But silence is not weakness. Pausing is power. Take a second to gather your thoughts. Take a breath. You're not a machine. You're human. Thoughtful responses always beat impulsive ones. Also, remind yourself that not all pressure is bad. Some pressure sharpens you. It wakes you up. It helps you focus. Think about it: when something really matters, you feel alert, alive, present. That's the energy pressure brings. When you learn how to manage that energy, it becomes fuel. But to do that, you need to control what you focus on. Focus on what you can control, not what you can't. You can't control people's reactions. You can't control the exact outcome. But you can control your breath, your posture, your tone, your preparation, your mindset. Focus on those things. Let the rest go. A huge part of staying calm under pressure is preparation. When you're prepared even a little, you walk into situations with more steadiness. Preparation builds a quiet confidence. It tells your brain, I've done this before. I know my foundation. But what if you're not prepared? Then remind yourself, I can adapt. Because that's also a form of confidence. Trusting yourself to handle the unknown. Mindfulness helps too. By practicing being fully present, through meditation, journaling, even just 5 minutes of quiet time a day, you build the muscle of awareness. That awareness helps you notice pressure building before it explodes. And that's when you can intercept it, slow it down, and respond differently. Don't wait until high-stakes moments to learn composure. Train in the small ones. When someone cuts you off in traffic. When a text irritates you. When plans change unexpectedly. Every one of those moments is a chance to build emotional resilience. And here's something that people rarely admit. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make under pressure is to slow down. To be the calmest person in the room. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you refuse to let chaos control your decisions. It's a strength most people never master, but you can. The final piece is taking care of yourself outside of the pressure. Sleep, movement, nutrition, these are not luxuries. They are tools that support your mental state. When your body feels strong, your mind feels stable. And a stable mind is far harder to rattle. You will face pressure again. That's inevitable. But what's not inevitable is how you respond. You can stay centered. You can breathe. You can think. You can lead yourself through the moment with clarity and calm. Not because you're special, but because you practiced. Pressure isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. And every time it shows up, it gives you a chance to get stronger, calmer, and more in control of your life. Social situations have a way of triggering unexpected emotional reactions. Maybe someone dismisses your idea. Maybe a group laughs and you're unsure if it's at you. Maybe someone's tone feels sharp, and suddenly you're thrown off. In moments like these, the worst thing you can do is let emotion take the wheel. But that's exactly what most people do. They react. They shut down. They lash out. They walk away feeling embarrassed or angry, wondering why things spiraled so fast. The real skill and one of the most powerful things you can ever learn is emotional control. Let's be clear, emotional control is not about suppression. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything or putting on a fake smile when you're boiling inside. It's about creating space. A space between what happens and how you choose to respond. That space is where your power lives. The first step in mastering emotional control is awareness. You can't regulate what you're not aware of. So pay attention to the signals your body gives you. Maybe your chest tightens when someone questions you. Maybe your voice speeds up when you feel anxious. Maybe your fists clench when you're frustrated. These are clues, not commands. They're alerts saying, something here is triggering you. The moment you notice the signs, pause. Don't speak yet. Don't act. Just breathe. A slow, deep breath tells your nervous system, I'm choosing how I respond. I'm not letting this emotion hijack me. This moment of pause is where most people lose control. They go into autopilot, but you're choosing to go into leadership, self-leadership. Remind yourself, you are not your emotions. You may feel anger, but you are not anger. You may feel anxious, but that doesn't make you an anxious person. Emotions are temporary. They pass like weather. You don't have to act on every emotional wave that hits you. You are the sky, not the storm. Another tool that helps in charged moments is emotional detachment. Not to be cold, but to get perspective. If someone snaps at you, it's tempting to snap back. But emotional detachment asks, is this really about me? Or are they carrying something that has nothing to do with me? Most of the time, people's behavior reflects their inner world, not your worth. When you develop emotional detachment, you don't absorb people's chaos. You observe it, but you stay grounded. It's like standing on the shore while waves crash. You feel the impact, but you don't get swept away. Reframing helps too. If someone ignores you, your mind might say, they don't like me. But what if the real story is they're distracted or they're having a rough day? Reframing doesn't mean making excuses, it means giving yourself alternative explanations that reduce emotional intensity and bring you back to balance. Because often, the story you tell yourself in the heat of the moment is the one doing the most damage. Emotional control also means knowing when to express and when to hold. There are moments when it's right to speak your truth. But there are also moments when silence is stronger. Knowing the difference is wisdom. Sometimes someone says something hurtful, and you feel the sting immediately. The impulse is to retaliate. But emotional control says, not now. Not like this. It lets the heat pass before you respond with clarity. Not heat. It doesn't mean you stay silent forever. It means you choose a better moment and a better delivery. Day-to-day practices like journaling, meditation, walking, or even taking 10 minutes of silence can build your emotional stability. These small habits regulate your nervous system, making you less reactive and more thoughtful when emotional moments arise. And don't forget self-compassion. One of the biggest causes of emotional overreaction is how harshly we judge ourselves. If you mess up, if you feel embarrassed, if you say the wrong thing, don't attack yourself. Pause. Forgive yourself. Learn. Move on. You will lose your temper sometimes. You will feel rattled. That's human. Emotional control doesn't mean you never crack. It means you repair fast. Self-compassion gives you the space to do that. It says, I'm still learning. This one moment doesn't define me. Also, remember that consistency matters more than perfection. You don't need to be emotionally calm all the time to grow. You just need to practice consistently. The more you do it, the faster you recover. The smaller the triggers become, and the more empowered you feel. In every social setting, your emotions are either a guide or a trap. When you control them, they guide you. When you let them control you, they trap you. But you always have a choice. So when things get tense, when someone tests you, when emotions rise, pause. Breathe. Ground yourself. And then decide what kind of person you want to be in that moment. That's what emotional control is about. It's not about being cold or robotic. It's about choosing who you are, even in the heat. You may not always control the situation, but you can always control yourself. That's power. That's maturity. And it's a game changer for every part of your life. Starting a conversation can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff. You look around. You think about what to say. You second guess. And more often than not, you say nothing. Letting the moment pass. Convincing yourself it wasn't the right time. But here's the truth. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Conversations don't begin with perfection. They begin with intention. Most people aren't afraid of talking. They're afraid of awkwardness, the silence, the judgment, the unknown. But what if awkwardness wasn't a failure? What if it was just part of the rhythm, a pause between connection? You don't need the perfect line. You don't need to impress. You don't even need to have much to say. All you need is the courage to go first. It starts with something simple. A comment about the weather. A compliment on someone's outfit. A question about the setting you're both in. These aren't throwaway lines, they're open doors. You might say, busy day today, to a coworker. Or, I like your bag, where'd you get it, to someone in line. These aren't meant to dazzle. They're meant to disarm. Because most people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for real, and real begins with small. The moment you take the pressure off yourself to be witty, profound, or unforgettable, conversation becomes easier. When you shift your goal from impressing to connecting, everything flows differently. Here's a trick: focus on curiosity. Instead of trying to be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that let people talk about themselves, their thoughts, their day, their passions. Open-ended questions create space. Questions like, what got you into that line of work? How do you spend your weekends? What's the best part of your day so far? These questions invite depth without demanding it. They show you care without overstepping. And when someone responds, don't just wait for your turn to talk. Really listen. Pay attention to their tone, their expressions, the things they don't say. Listening is magnetic. It builds trust. It tells people you matter here. The best conversations aren't a back-and-forth exchange of cleverness, they're a dance of energy. Listening, responding, laughing, pausing, returning. Body language matters too. Sometimes what you say is less important than how you say it. Open posture, relaxed shoulders, genuine eye contact, these things make you approachable before you say a single word. A smile, a slight lean in, a nod, these are silent cues that say, I'm present. I'm safe. I see you. And that makes all the difference. Context matters as well. At a networking event, questions about work or interests may land better. At a casual hangout, you can be playful, more relaxed. Read the room. Sense the vibe. Let your energy match the moment, not override it. And know this, silence isn't a conversation killer. Pauses are normal. Let them happen. Breathe through them. Smile. Look around. Then pick the thread back up. People often panic during silence, but it's usually just space, not rejection. In fact, a powerful technique for navigating silence is simply to stay with it. Let the other person speak next. Give them room. The conversation doesn't need to be filled to be meaningful. It's also okay to be a little awkward. Everyone is. Nobody has perfect social grace 100% of the time. You trip over words. You forget names. You lose your train of thought. So does everyone else. But what separates confident people from anxious ones isn't that they never stumble. It's that they don't make stumbling a crisis. They shrug it off, laugh, keep going, and that gives others permission to do the same. The truth is, people are more forgiving, more open, and more ready to connect than you realize. They're not analyzing your every word. They're looking for something warm, something real, and that's something you already have. Another powerful move. Give a genuine compliment, not a forced one, not flattery, but something honest. Hey, I really liked how you explained that just now. I appreciate your energy. It makes people feel comfortable. Your sense of humor is sharp. I enjoy that. Compliments break the surface. They open hearts. And when they're sincere, they make people feel seen, which instantly strengthens the connection. If you're worried about what to say next, just reflect back part of what they said. That shows you were listening, and it keeps things flowing naturally. Above all, give yourself room to improve. You won't master conversations overnight. You won't connect with everyone. That's not the goal. The goal is to show up, to keep trying, to make one more connection today than you did yesterday, to be open even when it feels risky. Because every conversation, every single one, is a chance to get better, more relaxed, more connected. And once you start seeing conversations as opportunities rather than threats, the whole experience changes. You begin to realize that most people are just waiting for someone to go first, to start, to say hi. So go first. Not because it's comfortable, but because that's how you grow. Everyone wants to be liked. It's wired into us, the desire to connect, to belong, to feel accepted in the spaces we walk through. But for many, that desire becomes a source of stress. They overanalyze their words, obsess over impressions, and constantly second-guess how they come across. But being likable isn't about perfection. It's not about performing or pretending. In fact, the more you try to be someone you're not, the less likable you actually become. The truth? People are drawn to those who are genuine, grounded, and present. Likability isn't about being the most entertaining person in the room. It's about how you make others feel in your presence. When someone feels seen, heard, and respected around you, they'll remember you, not for what you said, but for how you made them feel. That's the secret. Start here, be real. Don't mold yourself into whatever version you think people want. Be the version that feels honest. When you're comfortable with who you are, you create comfort for others too. People relax around authenticity. You don't need to have all the answers or constantly be funny. In fact, trying too hard creates tension. Let go of impressing. Lean into connection. One of the most effective ways to be instantly likable is simple: show interest in others. Ask questions not as a tactic, but from a place of real curiosity. Ask people about their stories, what lights them up, what challenges them, what they care about. When you show genuine interest in someone, it reflects back on you. People remember how you made them feel important. But remember, interest isn't just asking questions. It's listening with your full attention. Listening isn't waiting for your turn to talk. It's giving space. It's nodding. It's eye contact. It's remembering something they said 5 minutes ago and circling back to it. Active listening is magnetic. It makes people feel safe. And that feeling creates loyalty, trust, and connection. Another powerful way to become more likable? Offer sincere compliments. We live in a world starving for genuine praise. Not the surface-level stuff. Not flattery. But real, specific appreciation. Instead of saying, "You're cool," say, "I really respect how calm you stayed during that conversation." Instead of "Nice job," try, "I noticed how much thought you put into that, it really showed." Specific compliments show attention. And attention makes people feel seen. You don't have to give out compliments constantly. Just give them with heart. Empathy is another cornerstone of being likable. The ability to step outside of your own experience and into someone else's world is powerful. When someone's frustrated or down, don't rush to fix them. Don't change the subject. Don't make it about you. Just be there. Validate them. Say, "That sounds heavy," or "I hear you." Empathy isn't about solving. It's about sitting with someone in their experience and letting them feel less alone. Likable people also tend to radiate a quiet positivity. They don't fake happiness or force smiles, but they do tend to look for the good, focus on solutions, and stay emotionally steady. That energy is contagious. People feel better around you, not because you solve their problems, but because you bring warmth, stability, and hope into the room. Humor helps too. Not the kind that makes fun of others or tries too hard, but the kind that's lighthearted, playful, easy. A joke at your own expense. A story with a ridiculous twist. A moment of shared laughter that breaks the tension. Humor makes you approachable. It breaks down walls. It makes people feel like they can breathe around you. Confidence also plays a role, but not the kind you might think. It's not loud. It's not forceful. It's the quiet kind. The kind that says, "I know who I am. I'm okay whether you like me or not." That kind of inner steadiness is deeply attractive. Confident people don't over-apologize. They don't chase approval. And they don't shrink themselves either. They're just solid. And being around someone solid feels good. Respecting boundaries also makes a huge difference. Some people want to talk. Others don't. Some open up fast. Others need time. Pay attention. Respect the signals. You don't win points by forcing connection. You earn trust by giving space when it's needed. And when people do open up, remember the details. Follow up. Ask them how that trip went, how their interview went, how their mom is doing. These small callbacks show care, and care is rare. Another likability superpower? Consistency. Anyone can be kind once. But the people who are reliable, who show up, who follow through, who keep their word, those are the ones we trust. And trust leads to connection. Consistency builds reputation, and reputations echo. Let's not forget energy. The energy you bring into a room speaks before you do. Are you calm? Are you tense? Are you open or guarded? You don't have to be bouncing off the walls, but a little light in your eyes, a calm confidence in your body, a genuine interest in others, that's the kind of energy that draws people in. And finally, remember this: kindness is powerful. Hold the door. Say thank you. Help someone carry something. Remember a name. Check in when you don't have to. These aren't grand gestures. They're small moments, but they leave a lasting impression and they cost nothing. Being likable isn't about charm or performance. It's about presence, empathy, and respect. People want to feel important. They want to feel like they matter. When you can offer that sincerely, you'll always be someone others enjoy being around. Not because you tried to be perfect, but because you showed up as someone real. Think back to the most memorable conversation you've ever had, the kind that stayed with you long after it ended. Chances are it wasn't filled with small talk or surface-level chatter. It was deep. It was real. It made you feel connected, heard, and maybe even changed in some way. That's the power of meaningful conversations. But deep conversations don't happen by accident. They aren't about using fancy words or trying to sound intelligent. They happen when you create space. Space for honesty, space for presence, and space for vulnerability. And the first step in creating that space is simple: be present. In most conversations, people are halfway somewhere else. They're thinking about what to say next. They're distracted by their phone. They're mentally rehearsing their response before the other person even finishes speaking. But presence is rare and powerful. When you're truly there, listening with your full attention, people feel it. It tells them you matter. Your words aren't bouncing off a wall, they're landing. And when people feel safe, they go deeper. They say more. They trust more. To foster deeper conversations, don't rush in with heavy topics. Let things evolve. Let the other person feel the natural rhythm of your attention. Often, it's the follow-up questions that deepen the moment, not the first one. If someone tells you they had a hard day, don't just say, "That sucks." Ask, "What happened?" Or, "How did that affect you?" If they talk about a goal, ask, "What made you want that?" Or, "What part of that excites you most?" These questions show that you're not just hearing, you're engaging. You're stepping into their world for a moment. And that's what creates connection. You don't need to make it intense to make it meaningful. Even light conversations can go deep if they're real. Let's say you're talking about travel. You can stay at "Where have you been?" Or you can go deeper with, "What's one place that changed the way you see the world?" Same topic, different depth. Vulnerability is the other key to deeper conversations. It's the willingness to go first, to say something real, not rehearsed, to be honest, not perfect. Most people are starving for authenticity, but afraid to be the one to start. Be the one. Say, "This might sound random, but I've been thinking about." Say, "I've struggled with that too." Say, "I don't really have the answer, but here's where I'm at." When you share something real, you signal safety. And people rise to meet that signal. They drop their guard. They meet you in the middle. And no, vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing. It means sharing with intention. It means showing who you are beneath the surface in a way that feels honest and respectful to you and to them. Also, be mindful of timing and emotional readiness. Not every moment is meant to go deep. Pay attention to body language, tone, and emotional energy. Sometimes the best move is to wait, to be patient. Let the depth come naturally, don't force it. Silence is not your enemy in these moments. So many people fear silence. They try to fill it with noise. But some of the most powerful parts of a conversation happen in silence, when someone is reflecting, feeling, or gathering courage to speak truthfully. When you leave room for that, you make the conversation deeper. You show respect. You show presence. You give them space to be real. And when you speak, speak with intention. Avoid dominating. Don't shift everything back to you. Let stories breathe. Let feelings be heard. Your voice matters, but so does theirs. Think of it like a dance. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow. But always, you're moving together. Another tip? Ask reflective questions. These open the door to people's inner world. Try, what's something that changed you? What's something you wish more people understood about you? What's one lesson that keeps showing up in your life? These aren't questions you throw out casually. They're gifts. And when you ask them with presence and respect, you'll be surprised at what comes back. But deep conversations aren't just about questions. They're about holding space. Holding space means being there, really there, for someone without fixing, judging, or rushing. It's about letting them say what they need to say and trusting that your presence is enough. That kind of space is rare. That kind of space changes lives. And remember, the goal isn't always agreement. It's understanding. It's connection. It's sharing a moment of humanity with another person and saying, "I see you. I'm here." In a world that moves fast and talks loud, deep conversations are a kind of rebellion. They slow things down. They strip away performance. They remind us what it means to be human. So when you get the chance, take it. Go deeper. Be curious. Be open. Be brave. You'll not only build stronger connections, you'll discover more about yourself in the process. You've probably met someone who could read a room within seconds, someone who seemed to sense the mood, notice discomfort, or pick up on what people weren't saying. It wasn't magic. It was awareness. It was a skill. And it's a skill you can learn. Being able to read people isn't about guessing their thoughts. It's about observing the signals they're constantly giving off, their body language, their tone of voice, their micro-expressions, their energy. And the first place to look? The body. Body language reveals more than words ever can. Crossed arms might suggest discomfort or defensiveness. A person who keeps checking their phone might be disengaged. Someone fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, or stiffening up might be nervous, annoyed, or simply not at ease. But don't take any single cue as truth. Reading people isn't about jumping to conclusions, it's about patterns. Look for clusters. Is their posture tight and their voice short and their face tense? That's a pattern. On the flip side, someone leaning in, nodding slightly, and maintaining eye contact is probably open and engaged, regardless of what they're saying. Facial expressions are another key. A furrowed brow may signal confusion or concern. Pursed lips may show hesitation or disagreement. A tight jaw might indicate stress. These signals are often subtle, but they speak volumes. Then there's tone, not just what someone says, but how they say it. The pace, volume, and pitch of their voice all reflect internal states. A shaky voice may mean anxiety. A flat, monotone one could reflect boredom or emotional exhaustion. A sudden change in tone often signals a shift in emotion, and it's worth noting. And eye contact, one of the most telling signals of all. Someone who avoids it completely may feel intimidated or insecure. Someone who locks eyes too aggressively might be trying to dominate. Someone who gives relaxed, consistent eye contact is usually comfortable and connected. But again, context matters. Some people cross their arms simply because it's comfortable. Some avoid eye contact because it's culturally respectful. Some fidget because they're excited, not anxious. The point isn't to overanalyze, it's to observe without assumption. Here's where emotional intelligence enters. The more in tune you are with your own emotions, the easier it becomes to sense them in others. If you felt anxiety, shame, irritation, or loneliness in your own life, you'll begin to recognize those patterns in others even when they're unspoken. And when you do, don't just see it, respond to it. If someone seems uncomfortable, give them space. If someone seems sad, offer presence. If someone seems proud, celebrate them. Adjusting your energy based on what someone needs in the moment isn't manipulation, it's empathy in motion. That kind of attunement is rare and powerful. Also, remember that reading people isn't just about identifying emotions, it's about understanding intention. Are they being honest? Are they hiding something? Are they trying to impress? Are they testing your boundaries? Pay attention to inconsistencies between what someone says and how they behave. Someone may say they're fine, but their eyes might be watering. Their voice might be trembling. Their body might be retreating. That's when you need to tune in deeper. Ask gently. Offer space. Let them know you're present and safe. Reading people also helps with timing, knowing when to go deeper, when to lighten the mood, when to back off. It makes your conversations smoother and your relationships stronger. And here's something equally important. You can't read people well if you're only focused on yourself. When you're stuck in your own head, worrying about what to say or how you're being perceived, you miss the cues. But when you shift the focus outward, you start noticing things you never saw before. Slight hesitations, changes in energy, brief pauses in speech. All of it is useful. But this awareness doesn't mean you'll always be right. Sometimes you'll misread a situation. That's okay. Stay humble. Stay curious. Ask questions if you're unsure. You seem a little quiet, is everything okay? That one sentence can build more trust than hours of small talk. Over time, the more you observe and the more you check your assumptions with gentle questions, the sharper your intuition becomes. You begin to feel what people are feeling before they even say it. And that makes you someone people naturally gravitate toward. Why? Because being understood is one of the rarest experiences in the world. When you read people well, you don't just become more socially skilled, you become more human. You show others that they matter, that someone sees them clearly, and that alone is healing. So sharpen your awareness. Pay attention to what's said and what isn't. Listen with your ears, your eyes, and your heart. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to care enough to try. Because people aren't puzzles to be solved, they're people to be understood.